Um, I'm super excited to have Felisha Ledesma here. Felisha is incredible sound artist, community manager, instigator, antagonizer. Uh, Felicia and I have had the pleasure of playing on the same bill together, once in Los Angeles when she used to live back here in America. And Felicia's well, it's getting to be a long career now. Into the You've been at it for a while, right, Felicia? Like,
Yeah. I
so
don't, it's been a long time.
yeah, it's funny. It just goes quickly. One minute you think like, "Oh, I'm just getting started," and then you're like, "Hang on, I've been doing this for a decade now. What? Where did that go?" Like,
Oh, I'm supposed to know what I'm doing now.
yeah, that's the classic one. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. I have younger. I don't want to say young people because it makes me sound old by saying young people, but I have younger people coming up to me asking me like, how do you do it or what's the? I'm like, just I'm winging it too. All right, like,
I mean, isn't it so nice that they think that you know?
right. I know. It's like, but nothing gives you imposter syndrome like them being like being, being like, "Hey, what's the secret sauce?" You're like, "Yeah, still looking for that actually."
I'll
Um,
let you know in 20 years.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Come back in another 10 or 20 years.
hmm
Um,
hmm
but Felicia, I'm really it's fascinating to me because we've hung out, we've played a show together. Like I'm aware of some of your accolades, but like I have no idea how you even came into this world. And I'm not talking about how you were birthed, but
Well, it all started.
but yeah, how did you what was your I'm always curious to know how people came to music, sound,
Mhm.
this realm, like what yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a pretty musical household. My dad was a musician. He was in a lot of bands, and when I was a bit older, he was in a Creedence Clearwater Revival cover band. So he was John Fogerty. So my dad had this amazing voice, was really good at guitar, and I was not good at instruments at all. But I loved music, and I had a big appreciation for it since I was a kid. And I just started going to shows. My friends, when I was like 12, 13, were their parents were roadies for different punk bands. So I
Whoa.
just used to go see all these like X, TSOL, all these like SoCal punk bands when they were doing their like reunion tours. So like I was 13, 14, so I would just go to any show I could get into. If I had to sneak in, at a certain point, I had a fake ID. I was just obsessed with going and hearing everything. And that kind of led me to noise and more experimental stuff like basement shows and stuff like this. So I feel like it kind of snowballed into this. Yeah. And I mean, I was always obsessed, but now it's just my life now. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah, this fascination of sonics in general kind of
hmm
came through like being exposed to punk and
hmm
noise bands and
hmm
this was in Southern California?
Yeah, I'm from Long Beach, California.
Right, right. Awesome. And so, you started, were you kind of like, did you start like doing your own thing in SoCal or did that happen elsewhere? Because I know you spent some time in the Pacific Northwest, right?
Yeah, it was not very serious in Southern California. I mean, I don't know what serious is, but we were just all hanging out.
Are we
And
meant to be serious?
oh my God, no, but like I wasn't getting paid for shows or anything. I
Right,
was
right,
just
right,
like,
right, right.
messing
Yeah,
around
yeah.
with my friends
Yeah.
at the Smell or like at these
Right, right.
DIY spaces. And so that happened in LA, but then I moved to Portland and I don't know what shifted for me, but I was just thinking about, oh, I want to throw shows. I want to be behind the scenes. I don't really like performing that much, or it just wasn't, didn't, I don't know, there was just something like, "Oh, I know I can organize these things."
Right.
So, it kind of shifted for me when I went up to the Pacific Northwest when I was in Portland.
Yeah, it's interesting. Portland has I've spent very little time there, but it has a whole little it seems like it's not huge, but it has a very supportive, engaged community, right? For
Yeah,
particularly
it's
for, like,
great.
experimental sound and the likes, right?
Yeah, definitely, and I think there was around the time I moved, there was just these amazing shows that were happening in just some random basement, and it sounded like garbage, but it was profound to me. It was the best thing I've ever heard and seen at the time. I was like, "This is it. This is perfection," and I felt so lucky to be able I mean, even now, it's like I cross paths with some people that were around back then, or, I remember I played this bar with my weird noise band, and Liz Harris Grouper was playing on it too,
Mm,
and I'll never forget her set that day. She just had like 4 tape recorders out, and it was during this time when she was doing more loops and stuff, and I think about it because there was like 15 people there or something, and
right.
just how nice of a time that was, how nice of a community that was, where everyone was just like truly, no one was judging, everyone was just experimenting with whatever they were working on, and people were just there supporting. And I
Yeah,
think that
that's
was really
awesome.
formative for me.
It definitely is handy to have that. I think if I can't imagine starting doing sound in a city like Los Angeles. Like it's just so big. There's so many people. I mean, people do it. Just from me, like for me, so much of it was that easing into it through a small supportive community. I had something similar myself in Brisbane, Australia. And if it wasn't for like cutting my teeth there, I'm not sure I could have expanded beyond, uh
Yeah, I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't have moved to Portland. Who knows? But I do think it was so important to be able to it just you could take a risk and not I don't know, I just didn't feel any fear about being shitty,
yeah,
you know?
it's
And that felt really
fascinating.
good, yeah.
You mentioned Liz Harris and, Grouper. I mean, I saw her come out. She came out to Australia in the mid-2000s, and, or the 00s, and, it's crazy. I just was made aware by a friend, Joshua Eustace, Telephone Tel Aviv, that she has become like this TikTok legend. Not for doing TikToks, her sound has been
Yeah,
commandeered by the TikTok kids,
this
and,
makes sense to me.
they're adding it to all their videos, and I looked up her Spotify, and she's having, like, 20 million listeners per month. Like, it's insane.
That's
Millions and
really,
millions.
really
Um,
wild. It's funny because someone like Liz, there is these people, like I was saying, that I'm still connected to, and I was lucky enough to co-curate something in Portland more recently. And it was really nice to be in that space, like a place that I played a lot, that I was involved with, and to bring national, international artists in, but then also bring someone who was in Portland. So Liz was a
mm,
part of that show too. I don't know if it's cheesy to say it was a full circle moment for me, but it definitely felt very nice to be yeah, to be back there, and S came too, and we were doing multi-channel works and performances, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm getting at with this, but it's definitely not it wasn't TikTok-y, but it was fun.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think those moments are really important. In fact, like it's almost a little weird when you start somewhere and you never, ever, ever, ever revisit that place or that city
Mhm.
or that town. Um, I think it's nice it creates this moment of reflection because you go back to this space that's once so familiar that it's perhaps
Mhm.
changed a little bit, and you were able to really almost look back at your former self and be like, "Yeah, okay, I'm kinda got this shit together. I'm kinda doing it, like
I'm doing something.
right, right. No, it's a bit of self-affirmation. I think it's important. It's yeah. Uh we tend to be so forward driven now and so like, what's the next thing? What's the next post? What's the next trip? What's the next
Mhm.
vacation? What's the next album? Like we don't I think we used to society used to reflect a little more.
I
We
also
should
think
reflect
oh, sorry.
more, I think.
Yeah, I think so too, but also for me, like, I struggle with the word curator, but like as a someone who programs sound, music, curator, whatever you want to call me, I do really like when curators of festivals or spaces really cultivate a relationship with an artist and it's not just oh I'm gonna have them once it's like oh we have a relationship now like I we have a connection now how can I support your practice in different ways or push or
Mm.
that relationship to something else and so that was really that felt nice about it too it's not just you don't go play a show and then you take off and that's it.
Right, right. Yeah, those takeoff moments are almost strange for me. It's like, oh, we had a moment, we played a show, we connected, we had dinner after or whatever, and like we'll never see each other again.
Yeah, well,
Um,
have a good life.
yeah, and have a great life. It's it's there's almost like there's this like borderline cold aspect to that that I
Mhm.
personally don't enjoy. I'm definitely a personable type of person. I like
Mhm.
to engage with people and yeah, definitely connect and I mean for me if you take it all away, you take the strip the sound back and strip the creative conceptual qualities back, you know, it's really what's so great about this in this for me personally, and maybe it is for you, but like it's these ongoing relationships and friendships and you know, catching up again and again and sharing and uh yeah, because if you're just doing the sound and that's it, and there's no connection with any kind of human, I don't know. I'm not sure how. I think some people will prefer that. But,
Yeah, definitely.
you
But
know,
I don't.
yeah,
I after last year, I just realized more and more that I don't performing is not my full-time job, and I should do it if I'm going to find joy in it, and what makes me happy doing that is the connections I have to the people in those places. It, like, not just going to play and getting paid and leaving.
right.
Because for me, I don't have to think about it that way. I'm not blaming anyone else or saying anything bad about anyone else who does. I get it. Sometimes it's just a job, but yeah, I'm just yeah, I just can't live like that because it's too depressing for me. It's very lonely to go somewhere to a strange place, sit in a hotel room, play, not talk to anyone, and then leave. I don't know. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, I'm the same. I mean, for me, I think about shows. I think maybe, oh, that was a good show X years ago or whatever, right? But like often for me, what's more profound is like something I enjoyed about the place,
Mhm.
some banter or something that was happening during sound check.
Mhm.
Um, you know, some cool meal we had after the show. Um, or you know, strangely, some tech failure that that was like, you know, made my heart jump at the moment, but now is kind of hilarious to look back on. Strangely, that all those things make up the story of what it is that, you know, we do. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
you
I mean,
mentioned
that's
oh, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, sorry.
You mentioned community. I mean, it seems to me that like, you know, from knowing you and what I've seen you do in the past decade is like it's a big part of your practice. Like, do you feel like that comes from some of those formative years of seeing, I mean, punk is infamous for having this very, you know, supportive fanatic community around it. Do you feel like it comes from that, or is it just something drives you internally? Like,
I mean, I think it's a combination, but definitely it's a huge part of my practice. I feel I'm a bit lazy and I like lazing about and I feel when I when I'm working with other people or I'm supporting other people, then I have the energy. I don't know if this makes sense, but I
Yeah,
definitely feel like like if I'm teaching or I'm performing, it's like with other people, you know? It's so in a way, I feel like if I I wouldn't I'm not as accountable to just myself. And I don't that's not the reason why I do that, but I notice this about myself too. It's like when I'm doing certain projects, like I get a lot of joy out of supporting other people
yeah,
more.
yeah,
And I find the energy and I show up. I don't always show up for myself, which I think maybe is bad, but that's just a fact, you know? So
mm,
I find that I'm yeah, just more accountable when I'm around other people. I want to make sure that they're supported and things are going well and yeah, I don't know.
no, that makes sense, and it's kind of actually brilliant that you have that personal observation, I think, like, because I think a lot of people don't have that, and, you know, whatever it is you need to create accountability for yourself, I think it's justified if it doesn't, affect or hurt others, and it does in your case, it most definitely does because it doesn't, because 'cause you're elevating those around you, which is great, I mean, and
Well,
that's
thanks.
my interest in community too. I mean, I just can never forget all of those people that extended a hand to me when I was just getting started, offered a show, advice on touring, connections
Hmm.
abroad, all of that. I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here right now if it wasn't for several, many more people.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's just so important because I mean, that's I sometimes I feel like I'm a bit I don't think it's brutally honest, but with younger people about like the state of things when they ask me about stuff, I can see that like I can see it in their eyes that they're very disappointed to hear whatever truth I'm telling them about playing music, but I feel like obligated because to me that's still support, right? It's like I don't like telling people I can't make a living off of playing shows because no one wants to hear that, but
Right,
it's just
right,
the truth, you know? But
right.
I do think yeah, I mean without a community I would not be where I'm at all. Like
Yeah,
I've learned so much in so many different ways from other people. So
right, right.
anything I can give, I give, you know.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned this guy S before. He's in he's in the audience.
Uh-huh.
I think many of you already know Simon Madison of Fours, and Felicia. I'm not sure if folks here in the audience are aware, but Felicia is a part of Fours. There's three of you now, right?
There's three of us, yeah.
Yeah. And you've been on board from the beginning pretty much, right? Like,
Yes. Yeah, we started it together.
yeah, well, like, what was the official start date of Fours? Like, do you have a date where
Well,
you're like, this is it?
I mean, I mean, we started it before, but I think when Superberry came out was kind of our official. So it was, I
Right.
think September 2020 when we announced Superberry.
Yeah,
So
I had to ask because like I kind of had a time frame, but everything in the pandemic is very blurry and
I
like
know. I know.
I still struggle with dates. I have a great like memory for dates and times, but this 2019 to now is such a weird, yeah.
The other day, someone was asking me about how long S and I had been together, and the only reason I knew is because like I was like, oh my God, it's been 4 years or something, you know, like doing this for 4 years because it was 2020 when it started, you know?
Yeah,
But I was shocked. I where has the time gone? I don't know.
yeah, yeah. So can you tell me a little bit about your role at Fours?
I yeah, it's I guess it's kind of weird because I'm not coding. But I am like we talk about concepts, I project manage, I do artist relations. I do a lot of the in the community stuff, I guess,
Yeah.
you know? And I mean, I when we started, and I don't know, this is probably where you're leading anyway, but when we started, we were making a synth for me, and we
Mm.
realized that we made a really good team and what that could look like and started Force. So that's a simplified version of it, but it's really nice to be able to bounce ideas off of each other. I mean, S has so many great ideas
Yeah.
already and was already doing so much. But it's really cool to still feel like this is a collaboration in some ways and to be able to do what I love to do, supporting artists and musicians with our
Yeah.
stuff, you know?
That's fascinating actually. So you had like because I'm trying to remember when we played together mid something early 2019. I think you had a laptop, if I remember rightly, but you also were maybe not, maybe you had some modular as well, like
I
hardware.
think I wasn't using a computer for that show.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I had a looper and modular
Yes,
for
that's
that one.
right.
Yeah.
You were using a looper, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wasn't using computer for live at all before.
Right.
I was using modular and some other little doodads, depending.
Yeah, and so was this idea of this patch, was it floating around? Like, had you thought about it, like what you wanted, what you know, what sonically, what you wanted visually, how you wanted the UX to be like?
Yeah, I mean, so I had a similar thing going in modular. I was doing a lot of like amplitude modulation, and that's my favorite type of synthesis. And so I'm always doing some patch with AM. And S and I started talking, oh, like what could that look like in software? Like what would be the ideal way for you to play this outside of hardware? And we just started getting really excited about what that could be, like how many things we could add to it, what would work. I didn't say anything about the visual design for the first version at all. I just wanted to see what S would do. And
Mm.
I think, yeah, I was joking earlier before this chat. I was like, how much am I going to talk about how this is romantic? But it definitely was romantic. Like someone's building me my own synthesizer. Like, wow,
I
you know?
mean, that's pretty romantic. I
Yeah,
mean,
right?
I think, roses don't last forever, but your max patch can probably last a long time.
Yeah, right. It's eternal. But yeah, I was really excited to try a different approach, like use these concepts I'd been using, but push it further. And so, yeah, we weren't really, it was during the pandemic, so we weren't really thinking about it necessarily for live at the time.
Right.
But I think, I started recording with it and put out some releases with it. And then when it was time to play live, then there was some things I realized, oh, it would be better this way, or we could update it
Mm.
like this. And so there's been a few versions now. And the next version is for the show I'm playing in Paris next week. Oh my, no, is it next week? Oh my God. No, it is. Ah, it's next Saturday at GRM. Oh my God,
Nice.
my heart. And so we're doing a multi-channel version of it. And so I really, I'm not coding in Max and in that way, but to be able to use Max and have this flexibility for my live and to have this idea and then S and I be able to riff on what it could look like and then to just implement it and use it in my next show feels very empowering. It's not like it's also really nice to just travel with a computer. You know?
Yeah, I took my modular from Los Angeles to New York one time, and I was like, I'm never doing that again, ever. I I mean,
I j
I used to love flying, but the TSA has ground me down, and I uh I try to go through airport with minimal amount of friction. So great way to get friction is to have a box full of wires, and yeah.
you take it patched and then they pull it all apart.
I did have it patched. They didn't pull it apart, but the TSA was super confused. Like, what is this? And I can't help myself. So I did say the guy to the TSA guy, yeah, I could practically fly the plane with this. And he didn't think that was very funny.
I definitely have had pretty good luck flying with modular. Not the best, but I've had a friend who was with me have made them they made my friend take out every single module, unscrew every single module. And at
What?
that moment, I just felt like this is not sustainable, you know?
Wow.
And I do think about this for performance a lot because I'm not very interesting to watch. It is a listening experience. And I
Right.
think the more I play, the more confident I am in that, but it's definitely a particular audience, it's a particular space. It's important to have those kinds of conversations because I'm not doing visuals. I'm sitting at my laptop, you know? And I'm also listening. And that's like the best part of the experience for me is that we're all listening together because
Right.
in, being able to use Max means that I have my samples or my waves or whatever, but I have the flexibility to improv. So no
Yeah.
set is ever going to be the same, and it's a mood thing, it's a sound of the space thing, it's all of these things. So for me, it's really nice to also consider this like what we were talking about earlier. I don't have to say yes to everything, and it's not just for me either, yes or no. It's also is this a good fit? Like, do I have to
Mm.
do something I more, you know? Does it have to be audio visual? Like what, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's important. I mean, I think, yeah, trying to perform with certain gear in order to, I don't know, not, you know, validate your presence on stage is
Hmm.
it's redundant thinking.
It
Um,
still happens though,
oh,
sh
for
like,
sure,
you
for
know.
sure. I mean, there's plenty of gear bros in Los Angeles who will turn up with a U-Haul full of modular and then really not do much more than someone with a simple max patch, like,
Hmm.
I'm kind of being harsh here, but
No
eh,
comment.
yeah, yeah. It has its place, but like, yeah, I certainly saw a lot of the you'll remember this, the modular on the spot events that were
Hmm.
happening in LA, and they were
Hmm.
they were incredible for community building. But I towards the end, just prior to the pandemic hitting, there was hundreds of people turning up at one point down by the LA River. It got insane. But I realized no, at one point it was everyone was talking while people were playing, and everyone was just there to oogle over the gear at the end of everyone's sets. Like everyone would race down the bank to just look at what latest Eurorack modules people had in their cases. And I was like, this is not
No,
good. Not for
no,
me. And
no, no. I mean, I think if there's a way for people to get lent gear to play modular on the spot, I think that's really nice. But I think it's a bit difficult to, I mean, there's plenty of other shows that people can play, I guess, but I guess it's just a bit of a difficult concept when it gets to be that big because it's not really, yeah, I don't know.
yeah, I definitely just come from a more conceptual background where I get to what equipment is used is not factored into the,
Yeah,
any
no.
whatsoever. Like, Whatever gets the job done, is my ethos basically.
Yeah, agreed.
And I certainly don't, bully like, I get it, I can hear some differences, not in particular, so, you can't beat a Bucket Brigade analog delay pedal, right? It's very hard, but you can get pretty damn close with software, and it's like,
Yeah.
the second you throw any effects on it, well, uh, no one can tell. Um, but yeah, I mean, purists purists are probably, hating me, or there is a burning right now, so, I'll leave that right there. I don't wanna dig my own grave. Um, but, let's see the patch. Let's see the
Okay, okay, okay,
monstrosity.
let's
Dude, what version of this are we at now? Like, do you guys have any versioning system? Maybe S does. Um, 2 point Oh, okay. How long have we been at I knew you would chime in. So how long have we been at 2.0000?
Wait, I'm pretty sure it's just 2.1, but we're going to be on 3, I guess, with the multi-channel stuff. I mean, maybe S would argue that it's not 3 yet, but yeah. But yeah, I think it's yeah, 2.5.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Alright, let's take a look. And
Okay.
I mean, maybe, before you I mean, it's up to you. Do you wanna play a bit of it and then talk us through the UI a little bit, or vice versa? It's up to
Maybe yeah, I'll play just a little bit first and then I'll talk
Yeah.
about it a little bit. Okay, hold on one
Alright, folks.
sec.
So Felicia's gonna show us her system that she's co-collaborated with S. Madison, both of who are fours, and Felicia's gonna show us her patch in place on it. This is the system you're currently playing live, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Awesome.
looks like it's not because we disconnected, I'm not able to
Ah,
share. Yeah.
yes. Okay, you should be good now.
Okay.
I love this UI, by the way. Uh, I like clean UIs, no distraction.
Yeah, it's very nice. Okay, sorry. Am I muted?
Yeah, I can't hear any audio.
Okay, am
Do
I
you
oh,
You
uh
might need to remember, did you share sound? You shared
yeah.
screen?
Yeah. But you can't hear me.
No, I think you have to go out a screen share toggle on the share sound.
Okay. Oh, okay, yeah, hold on. Let me there we go.
Yeah, we can hear it now.
Okay. That was just a little moment.
I love it, I love it. My only thing is I wanna hear this on a massive system. I bet that some of that low AM just sounds huge when you've got a big subs and
Yeah, it's really fun to play on a big system.
yeah, it's funny because immediate yeah, S is nailed it. It's, Zoom's I don't know what Zoom's low end's like, but but I know you just immediately could tell, like, there's a whole lot of stuff going on down there that we're not getting here. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I it's really funny to play 2 shows in a row, and then one of them has a really good system because you'll just the it's very I feel like everything is very delicate, and so you need that sort of detail for it to be what I'm envisioning. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'll play on a crappy PA,
yeah.
it's okay, but it's really nice when you can hear everything.
Yeah, I no, I totally get it. You play on a high-end, system with a full spectrum, bass, highs, everything, and then you have to go back to something that's a little more mid-range. It's yeah, you miss it.
Mhm.
'Cause you know it's
Yeah.
there. You know it's there. You know it's there, but it's not able to be translated because the system just can't, it's just not
Yeah, yeah.
those frequencies. It's almost like the system's applying an EQ to your sound, and
Yeah, yeah.
essentially it is in a sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, you wanna so it looks here, you've got 4 AM
Mhm.
oscillators. I mean, are these all,
Mhm.
like, individual setups? Like, are they codependent or independent?
Independent. They're
Yeah,
independent, the envelopes can be connected,
okay,
but they're all independent of one another, but they're all, like, they're exactly the same,
right,
but independent, yeah.
okay. Do you wanna just talk us down one of the oscillators? Like, what's going
Yeah.
first little section
So
up and
yeah, yeah, for sure. So at the top, this is like the AM oscillator section. So we have the frequency in hertz, the modulator ratio, feedback, modulation feedback, the shape, the AM depth. Um, so all of this right here is going to affect the AM. And right now you'll see below, um, I'm running samples in, and I can do single cycle waveforms, as you can see with the sine wave, on the third track,
yeah,
I guess you can call it. So I have the same sample 3 times and a sine wave. And so everything right here is going to be like the AM effect on this sample or waveform. And then the width and drift is going to be basically the panning. So it'll affect the panning. And the then we have a feedback shape. If you're using the shape above 0, it's more like a sawtooth, and below it's like a soft square. And then the depth, that's going to be how much AM is being sent to the carrier. And then below is where we have the sample or waveform, and we can do granular, pitch and semitone. You can see here on this first one that it is like just a sliver. So then if it's just a few seconds, then it's really easy for me to turn granular on and off live. I can switch that on and off. And here at the bottom is more granular control. So the spray and density of the grain and the direction, the rate and the size. And then below that is my envelope section, which is pretty self-explanatory. I can trigger it by this amount of time, 1 second. Um, and then the depth, if it's 0, then obviously it's not going to be working, and I can increase the depth to create more rhythms when I'm playing live. And then below that is the level, the stereo width, if I want to pan it more to left or right or center. S made a little DJ style. It calls it the DJ style filter. It's really nice, the tone. And then reverb for each individual synth. And then down here, now we even have distortion, which has gotten added, and a reverb section. And what's really nice about using this is, I mean, a million things, but I really like the idea that kind of it will end up being a prototype for something else we do for four. So the granular was a prototype for what we used in Opal.
Nice.
And I've been telling S that I get a lot of comments about the distortion live, and I'm like, we have to use this for something. So
Nice.
that's kind of in the works, even though I shouldn't talk about it. But it's really nice as testing ground because one, I get to use it live, but two, that means other people can use it too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
You
all.
know,
I mean, that's brilliant. That I love getting that insight that you're, going out and kind of testing some of this in a live scenario and seeing what people respond to and
it
then
feels good. It's nice to hear what, yeah, people's ideas around stuff. I think it goes back to community work, and S and I are really big in different communities that overlap that are, and I think it's nice to listen and
yeah,
understand what people are into.
yeah, yeah. So the reverb distortion, that's like a global effect. Is that affecting all four of the outputs from
Yeah, it depends. Yeah.
okay.
But it depends on how much reverb you accept, like
Uh
you turn on here.
yep, yep.
So, yeah.
Uh, I'm curious about your notes. I mean, this is like such a boring thing to ask about, but
No,
like I'm
no.
I'm fascinated. Is this kind of like your set list, so to speak, or just you know, just in case you get stuck, you reference these when you're playing live, or
So each set, so this I just played in Valencia
yeah.
last weekend. And these were my notes for that. I honestly don't really use them that much. It's almost like while I'm practicing, I make these notes. It's like writing them down, thinking about them. Then in live, I just basically ignore them. But because I've written them down, and practice, I kind of already know. But this is just almost like my little emergency notes. It's my organizational brain doing this. But when I'm playing live, a lot of the times I'm just feeling it out and going with, I mean, I've played the synth quite a lot, and so a lot of the times it's more just intuitive for me, which feels really
Yeah.
nice. It's nice to have the fallback just in
I
case.
I think that even is across the board for a lot of bands. They often have a set list, right? But they already know the structure of the songs.
Hmm.
Something I've written set. I started writing set lists almost immediately when I started playing live, but it was just like borderline joke, right? Like make noise for 10 minutes.
I
Take
hope
the
you
noise.
save those. Please
Take the
tell me you have
noise.
some of those.
I do have the take the noise down a little bit. Bring it back up. But like there's something about what what started as like almost a joke with friends, I realized like was this kind of like borderline security blanket, right? Like
Hmm.
I barely ever stick to the plan, but like or I know that I know what I'm doing so well that I don't need it, but there's still something it's like part of the tradition of getting up to play live now, like is having that. Half the time I can't even see them because it's like flashing white light and whatever, like
Yeah, what's the point? And I feel this way too, kind of, but I do think it's a nice ritual, and I've done it for every set I've played forever. I don't know, I just have always done it
yeah.
too. So I think it just feels good. It feels good to know that it's there if I need it.
Yeah, I quite like it. I think it makes sense. My favorite set list story ever was I saw Sun play at Supersonic Festival in Birmingham and it's the loudest show I've ever seen. They had the Sun, the Doom Drone Band had their classic backline, and, halfway through, it just got such an insane level. I started coughing, I couldn't stop coughing. I realized later it was just because they were pushing so much low end air that the air in my body was, like, tickling my esophagus. Like, it was insanely loud. Um, and I know Stephen O'Malley, and, he gave me their set list at the end, and I have that still. The first 3 pieces they played were just the back line, and it was already insanely loud, and the set list had, after the 3rd piece, PA on, and that yeah. So,
Wow.
at after the 3rd kind of drone thing they had, uh, the front of house guy's job was to slowly bring the PA up, and once I saw the set list, I was like, "Yeah, that's when I started coughing." It just went to this insane level. But it also cracked me up because on the set list, it had, like, some kinda name for a piece, right? And then on the 3rd piece, it would have just "drone," then then the 5th piece would be like "drone, drone, drone," and I just thought it was so funny that they have this set list that just says "drone."
It's just a good reminder.
Yeah, keep going, keep droning. Yeah. Oh, this is awesome. I'm well into this, and do you I presume when you play live, you might go with the dark mode, right? Because
Yeah, definitely.
I love that you have the button to just flick it. That's brilliant. Look at that, folks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
Oh,
nice because I like to play in a pretty dark space, so if the computer's very bright, it's a little off-putting, you know?
yeah, I find with a dark background, I also play with a dark background like this, is that you can still have the luminance of the screen kinda up, so you can see everything
Mhm.
clearly, but it's not got this crazy light beaming back in
Yeah.
your face, like, and
Like
the thing I remember, before playing, dark theme patches was, like, that you couldn't see anything else, so if you looked up from the computer, you couldn't you were blinded, like, you were blinded by your own creation.
Yeah, you had to look at what you've done, you know?
Oh, yeah. Ellen in the chat's like, "Dark screens bring up all the fingerprints."
Wow.
This is true. I try not to touch my screen, but I've seen some very, grimy screens in my years. I'm like,
I've been traveling with the microfiber cloth, and it's changed my life.
there you go." Yeah, I wish Apple would bring back the old, they have the technology, they have it in some of their external monitors, but, bring back the kind of, like, matte screen to the laptops.
That would be nice.
They were amazing, actually. Yeah.
I never had one.
Yeah, I have a couple of old, MacBook Pros around that have them, and it's crazy that although the resolution is nothing compared to the new ones, it's strangely still very easy and clear to see stuff on these old Macs. It's like, what happened? Um, yeah. Folks, this is great. Felicia, you have quite a schedule. I posted it here a moment ago.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have quite the summer tour schedule. I'm gonna post Felicia's tour schedule here again. Um, this is
Why do I feel embarrassed? I don't
no, oh, you should be
No, no, it's fine.
very embarrassed about your tour. No, it's amazing. I'm curious, like, is this a combination of some of these connections coming to the forefront, or which some of this is folks reaching out to you, like,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a lot of people reaching out and then a few friend gigs.
Yeah.
So I feel very lucky. And obviously it doesn't always go like this every year, but it's really amazing that, yeah, I feel very honored to be playing a lot of these spaces. And after this, I have a residency where I'm going to work on a new record. And yeah, I feel like this year is really shaping up. So feels
Yeah.
good.
I'm super stoked for you. That's a sweet schedule there.
Thank you.
GRM, you're gonna have a blast there. I can't wait to hear how that show goes. You're
I'm
gonna
very excited.
you're doing multi-channel there, right?
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a multi-channel version of this patch that we're looking at, right?
Yeah, I have some different things I'm working with, but I'll be playing this. Yeah.
And that's leveraging MC, is that right? Or in Mac?
Um, I don't know. S will
Yeah,
know.
I'm like, yes, chime in. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you don't need MC to do multi-channel in Max, but nah, there you go.
Yeah, this is a max patch, yeah. But
Very cool. Uh,
mm,
and you said you're doing a residency. Where's that?
yeah, it's in Finland. It's in this city called Turku, and
I'm already sold.
it's with this art space called Titanic with a K. And they just give you an apartment and they let you use their studio. And I've never been, so I'm very, very excited. And I'm gonna try to get S to come with me for part of it so that, you know, not at home, but still working, maybe. I can never
Yeah,
get S
yeah.
to not work, but Um, but yeah. So I'm very much looking forward to that. They give you a bike, you can just ride around and make
Oh,
music.
a residency
Yeah.
with a bike. That
It's
sounds
perfect,
good. Yeah,
right?
pretty much.
Oh,
Um,
but oh wait, is someone asking something? Sorry. I guess I haven't really been paying that much attention to the question. Sorry about that.
I'd like to know about the question is I'd like to know about the idea or how you inspired you to do this. Is this an experimental process, or would you please talk about if it's possible? So I'm thinking the question there is like, is it pure experimentation? I'm also curious, like conceptually, what's the motivator here? Like,
I mean, for me, I really use the concept of AM as a motivator in a lot of ways. Like this idea to push something into a different sound. So even
yeah,
though it's kind of a bit convoluted in a way, like I feel like that's always my starting place. Like, what can I do? How can I push and pull and bend and take a sound maybe from my everyday life or something small like a moment and like create a whole piece out of it. And I feel like that's kind of how the AMQR started. So it's like amplitude quartet, but I really love ASMR, so it was a play on that. So yeah, I think in a way this type of synthesis inspires me, but it's obviously beyond that. So I think I just like love paying attention to one little sound and seeing what I can create with it. So I think this synth really helps me with my process of doing that. And it's really nice to have this sort of back and forth with S about it and be able to not have to explain myself so much anymore, but just get an idea and get excited and chat about it?
Mhm. That I was going to say, when you were playing your piece, like there felt like there was some ASMR element to it, and I didn't say it because I didn't want to be reductive. Oh,
Oh no, it's fine.
it sounds like. Um, I didn't want that to come across as reductive, but I'm glad you bring it up because I do think that whole world of ASMR is pretty fascinating, and I think even people who are not musically inclined is still attracted
Yeah.
to it. Um,
I think it's so interesting, like to someone has gotten the best microphone ever to record this. Like, it's like a micro sound, and
yeah.
I find it, I just love it. And I've been watching slash listening to ASMR videos for a very, very long time. And so for me, I like to be able to play with this sort of sensation, especially, and I think AM can do that in a lot of ways, and
Mm,
especially with a lot of stereo panning and these types of effects. So it is definitely an inspiration for me. And no, I'm not making ASMR videos, but I
right.
it's nice when people feel tingly. It's nice when people can have a sensory experience, you know?
Yeah. The other kind of similar quality to ASMR is just like forgotten sounds, sounds that they're part of our everyday living.
Hmm.
They don't serve any purpose. Like it's not a turning on sound, it's not a alarm, it's just a sound that's occurring, then it's gone, maybe because that
Hmm.
technology is redundant or something. And yeah, a classic one is the old dial-up um
Hmm.
internet sound. Like it was just basically noise of the connection occurring. It wasn't meant to actually give us any clues to what was occurring other than that we were connecting. But like how nostalgic that sound will
Hmm.
immediately transport me back to my youth. Like,
But I
uh,
do like these, maybe for me it's important to not be super literal, but I do like these little sound memories. And if I can kind of play with that, and I feel like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but
yeah,
I love to do that, to have a field recording or something of something very specific, like sprinkled in, and for someone to come up after my set and talk to me about what they were thinking about or where it transported them to, then I'm thinking, okay, this is working for me and for them. So that's really nice, you know? Gotta try sometimes. Maybe not the dial-up sound, but some little, everyday sound feels exciting to
yeah,
push.
that's an interesting one. It's like I always am fascinated when people come up to me afterwards and like, this reminded me of, or this took me here, and I'm often surprised. Like, well, I never thought that would be
They
the
were like, yeah, but that's really nice. I've had people tell me a full story, which I love. Especially because I have so much adrenaline after I play. That I think some people think it's rude to come talk to me, but I actually really enjoy when someone just comes and is like, "Oh my God," you know.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's really fun, actually. So it
Well, yeah,
depends on what city you're in, but yeah.
right. Yeah, I mean, and definitely audiences vary in terms of their how they feel they can approach an artist based.
Yeah, exactly. Some places they're just very polite and they won't say anything until you're finished packing up or something.
But sometimes you're left as an artist, as a performer, you're left wondering like, did that come across how I thought it did? Is that what I
Hmm.
wanted? And like, so getting that immediate, feedback, affirmation, and I've definitely had artists who are like, that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
But at least they still felt something. I don't know.
Hey, that's kind of my take on it, right? I'm not like, well, I'm like, hey, at least I connected with you in some way. You'll probably never forget my set.
Yeah, exactly. You will remember me.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but I still think that that is important too. I don't expect everyone to like what I'm doing. There's no way,
Oh no,
you know?
I think that's a slippery slope is trying to create any kind of art at all that's going to
Hmm.
that's going to appeal to the masses or almost everyone. I mean, I think at that point you're making a product or something. You're making the iPhone.
Yeah, definitely.
You're and I think I was thinking about this the other day, in fact, and I think this unfortunate side effect of like social media and Instagram and like algorithms that are kind of like borderline training people now to post in a certain way in
Hmm.
order to maximize engagement, blah blah blah. Is it's like it's almost like conditioning people to create art to try and please as many people as possible when sometimes it's about creating friction or like challenging people or like, like so it's like we're trying it's like things are getting weirdly safer or something. I don't know. I
I
was
just
thinking about
love not trying to be I just love not doing any of that. It makes me feel so good. I'm
oh
not,
yeah,
I'm like, "Oh, thank God I'm not doing that. I don't have to do that." Like in any way, I just couldn't handle it. My heart couldn't take it.
100%. I gave up. I mean, I did try and play the algorithm for a bit
Mm.
pandemic when I had a bit of time and I was like, this is kind of gamified because that's what they've done. They've completely gamified it in a sense. But I was like, ah, this sucks. This is boring. Gave up. I'm pretty much done with social media.
I feel the farther away I get from it, the more free I feel. So
Oh, totally. I think eventually I'll have no internet connection and just some kind of like wireless w- um solar power system and I'll be off the grid completely just making weird sounds for myself and that'll be the end.
I think there was a question about if I'm gonna share this
Yes.
patch. And I think no. S and I have talked about it and I still feel so emotional about it. I don't know if it will ever be shared as is.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe that could change. I
Yeah.
think in a way I like the idea of sharing it as a whole, but it is so personal to my practice. It feels a little maybe it's naive of me, but I mean like what someone else would use it? How? Like I don't know. That's why I do like how parts of it are um like used for other things because that makes sense to me. I mean, maybe someone would enjoy using it, but I feel like it wasn't. I feel like we put so much effort into how other people will use something and like the experience that this was just made for me. So I'm not sure how anyone else would experience it, or if it would actually be fun for anyone else.
Yeah, it's a really interesting topic actually. Like it gets asked a lot throughout the Max community and it's like you it's like it's so interesting to me because if you see someone playing an Ableton live set, no one asks the person, "Hey, are you gonna share your live set?" Like um that barely ever gets asked when it comes to a DAW or something, right? But like in the world of Max, it's a pretty frequent question is like share the patch or share it's a borderline meme. Um but yeah,
Yeah.
I often it's funny that someone just does that because I got asked myself that recently. I'd posted a screen grab of part of my live set, and I'm it's like interesting because I've been with this one thing for a number of years developing it. I'm like, yeah, maybe I will just let it go and move on to something else, and that's the point at which it reaches exhaustion.
Yeah. And I don't
And
mean it in a bad way. Like I
oh
don't
no,
it's
I don't
not
think you do. Yeah,
I definitely appreciate I mean it is beautiful. I think S is a great designer. And so I know that if I saw something like this, I'd be like, whoa, I want to try this out. What's up with it? I get it. Um, and I think like S and I have talked about maybe there's one day when I'm ready to move on or something, and maybe that would happen, but who knows when that's gonna be?
yeah, and I think what you've done here is unique in that you've made an instrument from scratch. It's a combination of, you and S, going at it and designing it and refining it. And yeah, it's only natural there would be some personal attachment to it, I think.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and
But I'm so used to community stuff. I feel in a way I'm like, this is very selfish of me. Like I should be sharing everything, giving this to people. So I definitely have some conflict about it, but not enough to do anything about it yet.
it's interesting to me because I've been around the Max world so long, right? That I've seen how someone releasing a patch has then gone on to influence large swaths of the community and drive it forward and then watch how it like develops further. Like so, there's these classic it's called Sugar Synth patch that was
Mhm.
like 1999 and yeah, been a big influence on the community. And then the classic is like Sean Booth from Ortec is showing
Mhm.
screenshots of their live set. Um, I don't know when he first showed stuff, maybe like it was before the pandemic, I think, but like now I'm seeing so many UIs, right, that have this similarity to their UI, of course.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's an interesting thing for me. I'm like I like that you guys are sharing bits of it and they're being, you know, translating over to Fours
Mhm.
products, Fours devices. That's awesome.
Yeah, that feels good.
Yeah. Um I think yeah, it's an interesting topic. 'Cause it's like if you're a painter, you're not gonna give all your brushes away. Um,
Yeah.
you know.
But I mean, yeah, but also it's like the way Max is set up is really nice because it is open source. It is a very big community. And so I think, yeah, there's some like I use it in a specific way, someone else is going to use it in a different way, but I still have some sentimental thing going on with it where I'm just like the problem is I talk about it all the time. That's the main problem. If I didn't talk about it, there would be no issue, you know? I'm blabbing on and on about it. It's like everyone asks me about it because I've talked about it, and that's my
Uh,
own fault, you know?
it's okay. I mean, I think that may have happened to Ortecker, in fact, because like the one thing that Sean and Rob would always mention or get asked about in interviews for decades was Max. And I think at some point Sean was like, here you go, here's a few things, here's a few screenshots, here's a few videos, and yeah. Um, where did I noticed Panini took off?
He's over it. He
Like,
was having a good nap though,
he's
so
like, this interview is done.
yeah, yeah.
He
Shut
was
up about the
snapping hard.
AMQR.
Nice. Folks, Felicia is incredible artist. It's been so great to have you here. If you have any last minute questions, please drop them in the chat. We've got just a couple more questions here. Felicia, what are you reading right now? What's
Ooh, what am I reading?
yeah,
Hi, Amy.
what any books that have popped up that come
Yeah.
to
Oh,
mind?
yes. Okay. I wanted to recommend one of my favorite sound studies books.
Whoa.
It's called Humming, and I feel like um I've been thinking a lot about the voice lately and using my voice and how I use it. And so I always come back to this book. I feel like a lot of sound studies books are very dense, inappropriately dense. And I feel like this is written so well and it talks about like, you know, personal histories of humming, religious humming, the hum of a city, and it kind of dives into research around that. And I think it's such a nice read. It's really quick, and I feel like I would recommend it. And
Who is the
here,
author? I'm trying to
can you
find.
read it?
Maybe if you are able to go
Yeah.
off screen share, we'll be able to see it a little.
Oh yeah, yeah. One second.
Oh, cool. All right. I love
I can
the.
also share it in the chat. It's a good cover, huh?
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Um,
You're totally right. I mean, so many sound synth yeah, they just get into that world of academic talk, speak, writing so quickly. Um,
mhm.
so I'm always curious for books that aren't like, yeah.
It feels, I really recommend it. I recommend it to a few people who were talking, we were having a conversation about using voice and um in live sets. And then also another voice one is this Spectres.
Yes,
This
there.
this version just came out and I just started reading it. Um and it's really also really nice because my attention span is shot, and so it's very short.
Yeah,
Um,
I love those books. I have a couple of them here. I've got the one with the chrome silver cover. Um,
oh yeah, yeah. I was that the first one?
yeah,
Looking at my shelf.
incredible. This one, composing
Oh
and
yeah,
listening.
it's great.
Yeah. They're incredible.
Yeah, they
I
are.
also like that they're like these small digestible essays that you can yeah, that you can read. Let's post some links in here.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
No, you're right. Let's see, where's the Spectra Sound Studies?
There we go. I just posted it.
Ah, nice. Thanks.
And
Yeah,
then I
actually all those yes, too quick on the command C, command V. Uh
Okay, but really quick, I saw Xnor almost writing something, and I just wanted to say hi to Alex Norman. So,
Alex. Oh, I didn't know you guys knew each other. That's cool.
yeah, I lived in with Alex for
You guys
five.
were housemates?
Yeah, he's
No
the best.
way.
He's the best housemate I've ever had besides us. But yeah,
Ah, what the hell?
he's a sweetie. I
Yeah,
miss
no,
him.
I love Alex. I talk to Alex a lot. Alex's ex-Nor is like for folks in the chat who, and we're gonna have to have Alex on for one
You
of these.
have to.
Yeah, yeah. I need to know more about Alex. I work with him every day. Alex is our main engineer on Rainbow these days. So uh and awesome active member of this community. In fact, if folks are in the Rainbow channel, you probably already know Exnor. I that's crazy. You guys are a house. I didn't know that. That's cool.
hmm
Um,
Another
very
fun fact.
yeah, yeah, very cool. Folks, what about video games? Do you guys game? I feel like you guys are just gaming on fours all the time. Like
You think you're gaming?
fours
The
is your
last the
video game.
last video game I played was Sonic, so I'm not
Sonic.
really a gamer.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, S is playing Fallout 1,
Ah, cool.
but that's
I'm
about it.
I'm I'm replaying Metroid 2 on Game Boy right now.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It's pretty out there. Um yeah. I'm trying to do it without looking at any cheats. Because
How's that going?
yeah, yeah, no, I'm going around in circles right now, but yeah, I mean the funny thing about the internet now is you can just get a map of Metroid 2 and show you where to go, what to get. You can, yeah.
That's not fun.
No, I'm like, I don't see the point in that, but yeah. Uh nice. Well, folks, this has been real. Felicia, it's so good to catch up with you.
I know, I miss you. Thanks for having me
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very happy for your where Malmo, living in Malmo and like,
Mhm.
your whole life over there. But it was so awesome to have you in LA, and I felt like you're such a big personality that and you just brought this kind of energy to Coaxal.
Mhm.
Coaxal is an awesome art space here in LA, folks, for those that don't know, and Felicia was a big part of that for a while, and yeah, I'll see you guys.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
we'll
have
come to
to,
LA. We'll come to LA and it'll be great. I need some
yeah, we should
tacos
we should do
immediately.
something
So
when you come out.
yeah, I
Maybe
would love to. I'll DM you. We have some ideas.
please we can hook up something. Even if we go back to our old mates Coaxal.
Exactly. That would be
Still
great.
going strong. Incredibly, they were able to squeeze through the pandemic.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's such a bastion of the LA sound world. Like, um, it's so cool. I went there recently, and I'm getting to that age now where I can feel like the old guy in the room, but like, and I
It's
don't
kind of
feel like,
nice though. I think
But
it could be nice.
it made me feel very happy because I'm just seeing now I've been around long enough, but I'm seeing this whole wave of new generation come, these young
Mhm.
19, 20-year-old kids like shredding, and I'm like, yeah.
It feels good. It feels really positive. Everyone
Oh
is,
no, it's great.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really nice. I
I
miss
definitely,
coaxial.
yeah, I'm not definitely not worried about what age I am, but it's like there was a long time where I didn't feel that or see that.
Hmm.
It was like something switched, and I actually think the pandemic might have made that switch. Uh,
Yeah,
because
that
these
makes
kids,
sense.
they were pretty, they were pretty at a loose ends during the pandemic. So they've come out of what I'm seeing in LA is they've come out of the pandemic with just some serious serious energy and angst and anger, and they're zoomers as well, so I get it. Like, the world isn't the future is not looking so great at the moment for a lot of
No,
world.
but I appreciate they're making amazing art.
Yeah, yep, yep. I think art can get us through. I believe
Mm.
that. Yeah, and folks, thanks to S has done a great job in the
Moderating.
moderating, adding links. Thank you, S. Um, but definitely check out Felicia's NTS show. It's incredible. Listen, I
Oh, thank
often,
you.
yeah, no, we have a rowing machine. It's one of the most boring things to do is to stationary row. It'd be so much
Sounds
nicer.
kind of cool. Oh, to actually do it? Yeah, I
And it's a good
gotcha.
workout. But I have to listen to something because I go insane if it's just listening to the whir of the rowing machine. But your show is one of the ones I have on rotation, and I always find new people. So that's a big reason I like to listen to it because I'm like, oh, I've never heard of this artist,
Oh, that's amazing.
and then I go on a deep dive and like I'm like, wow. Yeah.
That's so cool. I'm glad I could soundtrack your rowing.
It's still my preference for finding new artists. It's like through shows like yours because I don't know, Apple Music, Spotify, whatever people listen to. I feel like the algorithm doesn't get me at all and feeds me just, very typical like, oh, artificial intelligence,
Hmm.
like uh the compilation, and then it will play me your ticker, and then it will play me this and that. It's like, no, give me some, like, I don't know, like I wish there was a dial where you could like feed me 50% of stuff I've never heard before. But
But that's what's so great about all this online radios. I feel like there's so many good hosts and they're really doing really different stuff. So I feel really lucky to be doing it on NTS, but radio is such a big, I love doing radio. It's so fun.
yeah, yeah, me too. It's Dub Lab as well there in LA. It's just so
It's
important.
so great. They've been around for so long too.
Yeah, yeah, long time. Awesome. Well, hey folks, it's been great to have you in here. It's been great to talk to Felisha Ledesma. I definitely would encourage you to check out more of Felicia's work, her radio show, and if you can, catch her live. Yeah, you won't regret it. Shout out to Panini too, who's just been chilling the whole time. Oh, yes, adorable. All right, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day. Felicia, stick around for a second.
Okay.
And yeah, folks, we'll have a new announcement very shortly of stuff happening in the Discord. We have some more office hours in June. We also have a patching event in June in the Discord. And we're also gonna announce basically July's participants at the same time. So stay tuned. We'll have announcements early next week. Okay, folks, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.